Why, hello there friends. I'm going to jump straight into this video today. I'm going to be creating a scrapbooking layout with you all, featuring a brand new collection from Creative Memories called Global Getaway. Now there are so many fantastic new releases from Creative Memories at the moment, and there's loads more on the horizon as well to be excited about. I'm really excited about creating with this collection today though. It's just arrived. I haven't created anything with it as yet. And as the name suggests, Global Getaway, this is a travel themed collection. So perfect for documenting any of your travel photos or your holiday photos. There's two fabulous paper packs to this collection, which I love. We've got your designer paper pack as well as your tone on tone paper pack. And I love the color palette for this collection. So much to get excited about. We've got two new tools to work with. I've got the Vintage Post Border Maker cartridge, which will pair obviously with the Border Maker system. And we have a Document the Date decorative punch. And I know already, even though I haven't used this yet, I know already this is going to be one of my most used punches. I love adding the dates to my layouts, and now, you know, we can use this fabulous little punch to be able to do that. I've also got here some brand new sized peekaboo pockets. These are 3" by 2" and 2" by 3". Okay, so obviously same size, different orientation. I'd like to include these somewhere on my layout today. I haven't exactly decided where, but these were a new release recently as well. So I've printed my photos ready. I've got two 4x6 photos, and I've obviously printed some smaller 3x2 photos that I'm hoping to be able to work with my peekaboo pockets. Now, as for design, I'm going to use one of my very own sketch designs again today. It's a no-brainer for me. When I just have a new collection like this and I just don't know how or what way I want to create with it, I'll go straight to my downloadable sketches. This is sketch number 1 from my January 2026 download. So this is available now at papersweetpea.com. When I created a sample layout for this sketch, I actually used the Welcome Baby collection, which you can see down here. So today I'm switching it up and using the Global Getaway. One of my creative tips was this sketch would also look fabulous rotated. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm actually going to rotate the sketch, and I'm actually going to use it this way. So my photos will have the vertical orientation, so 4x6. And yeah, so that's the beauty of sketches. You can follow them exactly, or you can just use them as a launch pad for your own creativity, and that's what I'm doing today. So if we just take a look at my little design here, my sketch design, I like to call these the uniqueness of the sketch by numbers. And what I mean by that, you can see that I've got individual pieces numbered on the sketch, but there's no measurements on them. If you have a little look down here, you've got each numbered piece and the measurement next to it. So it's just a matter of starting your layout by cutting and adhering pieces in numerical order. So you can follow the guide here for what size to cut them, and then you refer back to the sketch design to each number to know where each piece goes. So for this layout, I did allow for a border. And piece number 1, which is the background, is 11.5 inches by 11.5 inches. So I need to choose a cardstock or a paper for my frame. And I think I'm going to use cardstock. And the beauty of Creative Memories is on the paper packs, they always give you a recommendation for what cardstock will be best to coordinate with the papers. So that takes all the guesswork out of it. I think I'd like to work with some navy cardstock. And since we're just using this as a frame, what I'm going to do is actually remove the center, because the offcut can be used for photo mats or on another project. So I'm going to insert the cardstock into my 12-inch trimmer at the 1-inch mark. And I'm going to slide that blade housing unit down, and this won't cut until you press down. But I'm going to slide it down until the top of the blade housing unit is in line with the top of my cardstock. Then I'm going to press down, and I'm going to stop when the bottom edge of this blade housing unit is in line with the bottom edge of my cardstock. And you'll see what that has done is it's started to cut that slit into the side of my cardstock. And by repeating that on all 4 sides, we're going to be able to remove the center from the cardstock, and we're saving our cardstock supply, because it's quite a lot that you can save. And as I mentioned earlier, you can use that for your photo mats or for another project. So when you've cut all 4 sides, you'll be left with that 1-inch wide frame. So I can set this to the side now. We can use that for something else. And I need to choose a paper for our background. So I'm just going to open up the top of that paper pack bag there, just so I don't crumple the papers sliding them out. And I've got a paper in mind from the designer paper pack. If I can find it. And I think I'm going to work with the reverse of this blue. It sort of has that grid formation on the back of it. That's going to be the background for the layout. So I'll just set those other papers aside. And following my sketch measurements, piece number 1 needs to be cut to 11.5 by 11.5 inches. So let's line that up in our trimmer. And I'm just going to remove 1/2 inch from both those 2 sides to create that 11.5 by 11.5 square that we need for our background. So I'll bring our frame back, and to hold it in place, I've got some of the place and peel tape from Creative Memories. What I like to do is just tear a small piece off, and I'm actually just going to remove a little bit of the adhesive on my t-shirt. And I like to do that because sometimes it still can grab at your paper, and we certainly don't want to tear it. And I'm just going to place a little bit at the top there, and I'm going to rip a second piece, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just removing some of the adhesive on my t-shirt and just place that on the side just to hold our frame in place till we get that background stuck into place. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of repositionable tape all the way around the inside edge of that frame. Like so. I'm going to come back in with my background, and you just want to make sure that you get that lined up evenly so that you've got a 1/4 inch border showing behind that background paper. Now once you've got your background in place, it's just a matter of carefully peeling away that tape. Okay, so now I can have a look at piece number 2, which is this top little border strip across the top. And the measurement for that is 11.5 inches by 1/2 inch. Now because I'm rotating my layout, this will actually be down that left side. So I will get that cut now. And I actually like, it's the same paper as our background. I'm going to work with the lighter blue on the front of that paper. So I can cut that down to 1/2 inch by 11.5 inches, but I'm going to mix it up a little bit. And again, this is the beauty of sketches. You can adjust them to suit yourselves. I cut 1/2 inch off the bottom there. So we're going to have this strip down the side, but what I'd like to do, I'm actually going to make it a little bit wider by adding a contrasting piece with the Vintage Post Border Maker cartridge. Okay, so we're going to need our border maker system along with the cartridge, which I will slide into that bracket there. And then I can open up the bracket arm for the paper to slide in. And I'm using, I love this rusty toned stripe paper. This was from the Tone on Tone paper pack. And I just think it's going to be a nice contrast with that blue. So I'm going to punch all the way down that edge. And then we're going to have to trim away, obviously, the border strip because it's still connected to our paper. Like so. Get all my little scraps out of the way. And let's cut that down to say, I'll say 3/4 inch, just to give us a little bit of room to be able to adhere behind that first border strip. So that's cut that at 3/4 inch, and then I need to cut the length to fit the background to 11.5. So we'll just remove that 1/2 inch. And then essentially what we can do is I've got my blue strip here, which is piece number 2. But I'm also adding a little decorative edge because I love that new Border Maker cartridge, the Vintage Post BMC. And I'm going to have that just tucking out behind that first strip. Now, if I refer back to my sketch, I've also got a wider border piece at the bottom, piece number 3, and it measures 11.5 by 1.5 inches. So if I turn the sketch how I'm going to be using it, that will be this piece on the right-hand side. So I'm going to repeat that, but just with that same measurement. So if I bring back my blue paper, and we're going to need to cut that at 1.5 inches wide. So, and at 11.5 inches long. So we'll just remove that 1/2 inch. And just the same as what we did for that left-hand side, I'm going to punch another edge with that Vintage Post BMC. Just reinsert that paper, and we can punch all the way down. I like to fully remove the punch away from the paper before I lock it back in, rather than try sliding it along, because you can get yourself into a little bit of trouble and tear your paper if you try and slide it. It won't work too well for you. So if I bring back my 12-inch trimmer again, I'm going to cut this at the same width as I did that first piece, which was 3/4 inch. And I'm going to remove 1/2 inch just off that length so it will fit the length of the page. Okay, we've got good progress. So I bring that back over. We're going to have our blue strip here on the left with our decorative strip, and just the same thing here on the right. I've got that wider strip, and we will be able to tuck that decorative border edge on that side as well. So that's coming along nicely. Okay, so we've got pieces 1, 2 and 3 all cut. So now we're working on piece 4, and that's going to be this piece here that's just tucked in behind our photos, a decorative piece, and it measures 5 inches by 9 inches. So we're going to be having it obviously horizontal on our layout, so we can get that piece cut as well. I'm going to work with this navy paper for this piece. You can see it has all of the numbers just faintly in the background. So we need to cut this down to 5 inches by 9 inches. And because of the direction that it's sitting on my layout, it's obviously horizontal. I'm just being really mindful of how I cut this to make sure that I get those numbers facing in the right direction for my layout. If I was working with the layout in its true form and how I designed it, with it vertical, then obviously I would have cut down that designer paper and not across. So that's always something to be mindful of, is the patterns that you're working with on your layout. I have been caught far too many times than I care to remember. Okay, so this is piece number 4 and it's going to sit across the bottom there. Okay, so piece number 4, and then we need to start looking at piece number 5, which is this banner that runs down the side of the layout. But for us, it's going to be going, again, horizontal. And this banner measures 3 inches by 10 inches. So let's select out another paper. I'm going to add the green to my layout. So we cut this to 3 inches by 10 inches. So we're just removing 2 inches off the base. And this is a tag. So what I'm going to do is place that halfway in my trimmer, so at 1.5 inches. And I'm just going to bring my blade down about 1 inch. And obviously I can see, you know, that by the line that's on the side of my blade housing unit. I can match that up to the horizontal line on my trimmer. So I've brought that down about 1 inch. And then if I come in with my little scissors, I can cut the tag into the base of that, just up from each corner to where I stopped cutting with my trimmer. And that will give us a perfect little shaped tag. Okay, next we have piece number 6, and that is again another tag. It's a little wider, 3.5 inches by 10 inches. Going with this darker grey. And I'm again just going to cut that down to 10 inches. And we want to cut another tag. So I'm just going to place that at halfway into my trimmer and cut it down about 1 inch. And just again, same process with my little scissors. I'm just going to cut to the top of that line where I stopped, so I get a nice even tag, like so. Okay, we've got piece number 7, which is the piece that's going to, well, I've suggested to house a title. And piece number 7 measures 2.5 inches by 7. So again, with another contrasting paper. I actually think I'm going to use more of this rusty toned. I really like this paper. So let's sit that at 2.5 inches. Like so, and 7 inches. Which will be this piece here. And to complete all of our little pieces that need to be stuck in place, is number 8, and you can see here, cut 2 little tags measuring 3 inches by 3/4 of an inch and 2.25 inches by 1/2 an inch. So I've given both the sizes for those. They're just a little decorative element that are going to go up into the top corner of my layout when I rotate it the right way. And I'm again just going to use some of the same papers that I've already worked with, bringing back that navy paper. So 3/4 of an inch by 3. And I'll use the green once more. And this time it's going to be 1/2 an inch by 2.25 inches. So just a thin little strip. And we'll be able to use the offcuts of this on another project if you like. So certainly don't throw those away. And I'm just going to cut some little tag tails onto these strips as well. And then we can bring our layout back over and we can start constructing that following the sketch. So I've cut 2 little tag ends on those little strips. Okay, so we're going to start with our borders first. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to run a little bit of adhesive down the edge, the straight edge of this piece, and stick our little blue piece over the top of it. And I just want the edge of that border showing, the decorative edge. When you've got those 2 layers stuck together, we can add a little bit more adhesive to the back and stick piece number 1 in place. So that's down that left side edge. Just going to repeat the same thing for this side. We want just that small edge poking out behind. When that's in place, you can add the whole border to the side of your layout. So that will go, that's piece number 2, and that's going to go on our right side. Okay, so that's piece number 3, my bad. Piece number 2, piece number 3. So now we've got piece number 4. This was our navy piece that we're going to sit. Better rotate the sketch so I can follow. We're going to sit that across the base here like so. So that's piece number 4. Next will be piece number 5. And that was the green tag that we cut. And I had that just across piece number 4 in my sketch design. And then piece number 6 just sits a little bit lower, laid over the top. So this is just, you know, following the sketch exactly, only that I've rotated it. So you can see we've got piece number 5, piece number 6. So you can get those stuck down just with a little bit of your repo tape. Always like to use the repositionable tape in case I ever want to move anything around. Make sure that's nice and straight. So, and then we can place piece number 6 over the top. And I had it just to the right side a little more. And we've got piece number 7 to come in at the top there. I may even just layer that over my tag just a little bit, like so. Just a little. Okay, and to finish, we've got our 2 smaller tags. Just occupy a little bit of space here up in that top corner. Now this was me being a little fussy. I've actually swapped out the green for a little grey tag. I just thought that colour matched a little better. This is what it's all about, right? Swapping things around to suit yourself. So I'm going to layer both of those up in the top corner. That's a better blend. There we go. So with my layout all prepared, I've got all of those different paper layers in place following my sketch. We can add some photos. I'm going to adhere my photos directly to the page. You can of course add a photo mat if you like, that's completely up to you. But I've got 2 4x6 photos that will go at the bottom there. And then just using my little Canon selfie printer. I love this printer, but I've just printed custom sized 3x2 inch photos. And I thought these would work really well in one of the new peekaboo pockets. So I'll just grab one out. I'll need one with horizontal orientation, of course. And you'll see that these have a little white tearaway strip that will peel away. That's adhesive under there. I like to sort of adhere mine to the page protector, sort of tucked under. You could do it around the other way if you wanted to. There's nothing stopping you, but just to keep it neat, I like to tuck mine under. So we can add our little photos to the pouch, and I think I'm going to go with these 2 here. We've got one for the front, and then this will lift up. So you want to make sure that you've got your photo the right way around for when that is lifted up. So that will stick to our page protector like so, and you can lift that up. So it's just a matter for this third photo of just getting that in place for where you want to stick your peekaboo pocket over the top, and then that will lift up when it's in your album. So I'm quite happy with that about there. We could go ahead and get these photos stuck into place. I'm again using just a small amount of my repositionable tape for these. You can use photo chips if you prefer. And I might just move that one over just a little bit. This is why I use repositionable tape. I'm always changing my mind. Okay, so those are in place. We can stick our smaller size photo in place, which will be just above this one here. Okay, so with our photos all in place, now we can embellish our layout. I've got my 2 little photos in the peekaboo pocket that I'm just going to sit to the side because we can't add this to the page until it's completed and in its plastic page protector. So we'll just set this to the side. And I really want to use my document the date punch. So I'm going to punch just one from the navy blue paper. Like so. So that's how that turns out. I love it. You also get the little, if I can just pick one up, you also get the little off-cut pieces of the lettering. So you could also use those. So, you know, certainly don't throw those little offcuts away. But what I think I'll do is I'm going to actually back this date section here and the open window, and just so that it'll stand out just that little bit more. So I think I'll use more of this rusty toned paper. So I'm just going to eyeball it, and I'm just going to cut that to size with my scissors very carefully, so I can add a little bit of adhesive at the back there to stick that rusty toned paper in place. And if I can pick it up. You can see what that does there. It just helps that lettering stand out. And then I'm going to add a little bit of probably just the reverse of this navy paper, the lighter blue, and that can be for the little window at the bottom. Again, I'm just going to eyeball it with my scissors. Okay, so it's just added a little bit of colour, and I'll be able to write the date in the little journal window there. But I think that would be a really fun addition over the top of our photo here. So all that's left to do is to embellish our layout with some stickers and some of these die cuts. All right, so I've completed my layout. I've added some stickers and some embellishments. You can see I've included a little border sticker across the base here, and I cut one a little bit shorter to include across the top here. And that's ready now to go in my pocket page for putting into my album. But I just wanted to repeat what I said at the start of my video. Sketches are a great way to create because you can create the layout exactly, which is what this sample layout shows on my download, or by making a simple change such as just rotating it, we've completely changed the look of that sketch. And just adding in some extra little design elements, like where we added the vintage post border either side, these can make some big changes to your layouts. Now, when I place my layouts into their albums, I always use the 12 by 12 top loading pocket pages. Now, everybody has different methods, but this is my favorite way. I'll just slide the layout into that pocket page. I will remove that white cardstock, the backing, once that goes into my album. But they are the pockets that I use for attaching into my Creative Memories albums. So now that I've got it in that pocket page, and I'm really sorry if you're getting a little bit of glare from that shiny surface, but we can add our peekaboo pockets. So it's just a matter of peeling back that white tape that you can see there. And as I said earlier, I'm going to have it so that that flap is tucked in underneath. And I'm just going to align that above my other photo and press down that adhesive strip. And the wonderful thing about these peekaboo pockets is once you've pressed down that adhesive strip, it's virtually invisible. You won't see that on your layout. And just a fun little thing you can do too, I've got my tab punch out of my stash here, but you could, if I get a little scrap of paper here, you could actually add a little tab to the side of this. So I'm just going to punch that, and we can fold that in half like so, and just add a little bit of adhesive to that, and we can attach that to the side of our little photos there. And this just adds a fun little interactive element to your layout. And if you wanted to, we can even add a sticker to that. And I've got some little tickets there that I can add on the underside of it there. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you've enjoyed seeing me create, and I shall see you all again next time. Take care. Bye.